Okay, so our topic for today is all about global media cultures. So we are living in a world where technology is one of the most important aspects of life. We use technology to make our lives easier and work faster. We rely on technology to be updated on issues worldwide, thus television, cell phones, radios, and social media groups were created to reach wider and larger audiences and makes one feel that they are connected to each other. So globalization necessitates the blowout of different culture and media is a great instrument of this. Movies from USA, like the movie of Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt entitled we have the Mr. and Mrs. Smith, is being known not only in USA but even in many other countries. What else? We have Korean novellas and dances like Business Proposal and Bam Bam Fever is being felt here in the Philippines. Knowledge and ideas also is being shared globally through the help of social media. So the concept of accepting the rights of the members of the lesbian, gays, bisexual, and transgender we have, which we call it as LGBT communities, became known to the world through social media, books, and other means of communication. As well as religious organizations, they uses media as a means of proclaiming their teachings and proliferation. So today, media really play a great role in helping globalization to spread global cultures, knowledge, and ideas. So we have here Jack Lul was then right asking, could global trade have evolved without or of all information on markets, prices, commodities, and more? Could empires have stretched across the world without communication throughout their borders? Could religion, music, poetry, film, fiction, cuisine, and fashion develop as they have without the intermingling of media and cultures? So the contemporary world where we're living nowadays shows the undeniable relationship of globalization and media in spreading cultures globally. So as mentioned earlier, media play a great role in spreading cultures globally. So let's define terms like we have the culture and media. So let's start with the culture. So when we say culture, it can be defined as all the ways of life, including arts, beliefs, and institutions of a population that are passed down from generation to generation. So for additional information, culture has been called as the way of life for an entire society, meaning to say it is the way how they do things. And of course, different groups may have different cultures. And culture is seen in people's writing, in their religion, in their music, the way they cook, their codes of manner, their dress, their language, what else? Their cool rituals and everyday they do. And you have to take note also that cultures are what make countries unique. So each country has different cultural activities and of course cultural rituals. Next, let's define media. So we have here, it's the plural form of medium, yes. Okay, so there are a lot of definitions of media. First, we have to consider that media is the plural form of medium. What else? As a communication channel, so media is considered to be as a communication channel through which we disseminate news, music, movies, education, messages, and data which are the means of mass communication like print media, broadcast media, and digital media. So basically, when we say media, it is the medium of communication between people or ways to communicate information. So ano ba ang mga examples ng media? So we have CDs, DVDs, we have newspaper, television, radio, what else? We also have here printed matter, the internet information, advertising, and so on. Okay, so that's the definition of media. So we have here the functions of media according to J.V. Bill Anilam. So we have here the major functions and the minor functions. So let's take a look at those major functions. Okay, so surveillance of the environment, correlation of parts of society and interpretation of events and issues, socialization and transmission of the cultural heritage, and of course, entertainment, mobilization, democratic participation, and its for minor functions, it's considered to be as publicity and public relations, and of course, advertisement. Okay, so let's discuss them one by one. So the first major function of media is, of course, surveillance. Okay, so when you say surveillance, it refers to the collection and distribution of information by the media. So all of us want to know what is happening around us. So in order to reduce our uncertainties that envelop us yung mga pagdududa na sinasabi. That's why every day, a set of professionals scan the news sources, the global as well as national news services and reports from the newspaper's own reporters and dispatches from national and international news agencies. So thus every day, we get a constructed reality through newspapers, radio, TV, and social media platforms. I repeat, constructed reality. So meaning to say, the informations that we can get from this media, from these resources, are of course based on facts. Okay, so we have here an example. Filipino citizens becomes aware of the changing of the government structure into federalism from centralized form of government because of news from TV, radio, newspaper, and any means of social media. So, we are aware kung ano ang nangyayari dito sa Philippines because of the news that we watch from the television and uh, the news that we read from the newspaper. Okay. Next, another major function of the media is correlation of parts of society and interpretation of events and issues. So, it refers to the interpretation and analysis of media and its activities. So, the mass media do not supply just facts and data, but also explanations and interpretation of events and situations. So media offer various explanations, correlating and interpreting information functions, provide knowledge. So like for example, citizens know from the TV broadcast on the possible drought due to the new due to the weather forecast of El Nino. So kung mainit ang panahon or if we are in the state of El Nino, possible talaga na mangyari would be we will experience drought or tagtuyot. Okay, so they also interpret events and issues to the listeners. Next, third major function of the media is for socialization and transmission of the cultural heritage. So, Socialization is the ability of the media in communicating the norms, values, and behavior of the traditional societies through a drama songs, novels, and many others with the society nowadays can appreciate. So, socialization is, of course, the transmission of culture. So, media are the reflectors of society. So, through the process of socialization, we learn how to become a member of the society or human society in greater sense. So, we already tend to imitate, okay, or mass media, okay, or mass media influence audience in variety of ways. So, like for example, the K dramas that most of us watch. So, we already tend to imitate the Koreans' way of fashion, their Korean food, kimchi, samgyup, and others. So, because of this, we tend to adopt their culture. Okay, so that's the third. Next, fourth is of course for entertainment. So when we say entertainment, it refers to the ability of the media to divert attention and give amusement to the audience. So entertainment views as the most obvious and often used function of media. So actually, entertainment is a kind of performance that provides pleasure to people. We have the newspapers, magazines, radio, TV, and online medium offer stories, films, what else? Comics to entertain their audience. Sports and fashion arts are other examples. So it makes audience recreational and leisure time more enjoyable and fun. Kaya kung wala tayong ginagawa, then if we want to relax, then manood tayo ng televisions or in television, hindi lang tayo makakapanood dito ng mga news, but there are also some films, movies, stories, or funny movies that could entertain us. Next, we also have here mobilization. So when we say mobilization, it refers to the ability of media to encourage the community to participate in a common goal with the use of social media. So a good example of this is what? Yung Arab Spring of 2011. Okay, if you can still remember that, the Arab Spring of 2011 wherein there is a great mass protest from the people in that certain country para lang tanggalin nila yung president nila. What else? Sorry. Yung mga napapanood natin sa movies or news or even in our nababasa natin in our Facebook pages like community pantries na ginawa natin during pandemic. So ginaya lang natin siya and then the source of that idea is from the Facebook and then COVID-19 vaccination. Okay, that's for the mobilization. Sorry guys. Next, we also have here democratic participation. So when we say democratic participation, it refers to how media, sorry, it refers to how media influence the freedom of the people to freely air their ideas on what they perceive is right or wrong in a certain issue. So, for example, here, we tend to post in our FB accounts kung sino yung bet nating president for this upcoming election. So, we post everything we want in our social media accounts. Next, we also have here for the minor functions of media, we have the publicity and, of course, the public relations. So when we say public relations, it refers on the ability of the media to inform the public about an issue, so a person or an activity. So it's just the same with like democratic participation and mobilization. And of course, we have the last minor function, we have the advertisement. So it refers on how media share and promote new ideas, products, and others to public. So mass advertising attempts to link the needs of buyers with the products of sellers. So for example, the commercials we watch or aired in the TV, radio, and even sa Facebook, YouTube, and other media platforms. So this is now the highlight of today's discussion, which is the global media cultures. So globalization entails the spread of various cultures. So what do we mean by this statement? When we translate the word entails in Filipino, it means nagsasangkot. So sa madaling sabi, ang globalisasyon ay nagsasangkot sa pagkalat ng iba't ibang kultura. So as you recall the definition of globalization, nasabi natin before na in globalization, there is interconnected on or may ugnayan, right? For example, when a film or a movie is made in Hollywood, it is shown and not only in United States, but also in other cities across the globe. Another one, I'm not quite sure if you know this singer, the South Korean rapper Psy, yung kumanta ng Gangnam Style. Okay, so his song Gangnam Style mm, um, may have been about a wealthy residential area in Seoul in Korea. But take note, its listeners included millions who have never been or may never go to Gangnam, South Korea. And perhaps some of them may not even what Gangnam is. Kasi yung Gangnam, it's a place in Korea. So because of globalization, the spread of various cultures is possible. Next, globalization also involves the spread of ideas. So what do we mean by this? For example, the view on the right of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender or yung sinasabi nating LGBT communities is spreading across the world and becoming more widely accepted. So malaki rin ang role na ginagampanan ng migration sa pag-spread ng iba't ibang ideas. For example, people who travel the globe teaching and preaching their beliefs in the community play a major role in the spread of culture and ideas. But you know what? In today's generation, halos napaka-convenient na lahat. So, TV programs, social media platforms, books, movies, magazines, and others have made it easier for advocates to reach a larger audience. So, therefore, globalization relies on media as its main conduit for the spread of global culture and ideas. So, meaning there is an intimate relationship between globalization and media which must be unraveled to further understand the contemporary. world. So here are the different classifications of media. So we have print media. So examples of this are books, magazines, and newspapers. So anything that is printed. Next, we have the broadcast media. So examples here, we have radio, film, or movie, and TV, television. And then the last one, when we have the digital media. So it covers the internet and mobile mass communication. So examples, we have your email, internet sites, what else? Social medias, and internet-based video and audio. So those are the three types or classifications of media. Okay, so while it is relatively easy to define the term media, it is more difficult to determine what media do and how they affect societies. Okay, so Marshall McLuhan once declared that the medium is the message. So his statement was an attempt to draw attention on how media reshape societies. Television is not a simple bearer of messages. It also shapes the social behavior of users and reorient family behavior. So, kailan ba na-invent ang TV? As early as 1920s. So, since was introduced in that particular years, television has steered people from the dining table where they eat and tell stories to each other. So malaki talaga yung impact ng television in shaping the social behavior of individuals and the orient family behavior. So in today's generation, high-tech na tayo. So smartphone allows users to keep in touch instantly with multiple people at the same time. So napaka-convenient na sa atin in terms of communication because of the advancement of our technology. So consider the effect of the uh, internet on relationship or yung may mga jowa. So prior to the invention of cell phone, there was no way for couples to keep constantly in touch or to be updated on what the other does all the time. So the mode of communication before was by means of we have letter. So it takes a lot of time because you have to wait for a long time before you receive the letter. Unlike sa panahon natin ngayon, instant na lahat. Okay? So remember this, the technology and not the message makes for the social change possible. So the media have a very important impact on cultural globalization in two mutually interdependent ways. So we have number one, the media provide an extensive transnational transmission of cultural products, and number two, it contributes to the formation of communicative networks and social structures. Of course, because of the fast growing supply of media products, this one became a challenge to local and national cultures. And we have to take note that the number of the supply, the technological infrastructure, and of course the financial capital that pushes the supply forward have an impact on local patterns of cultural consumption and possibilities for sustaining an independent cultural production. So, therefore, global media cultures create a continuous cultural exchange in which crucial aspects such as identity, nationality, religion, behavioral norms, and way of life are continuously questioned and challenge. Actually, yung continuous cultural exchange that is inevitable. Hindi yan maiiwasan or mapipigilan as long as nag-e-exist ang globalization. As long as may connection ang bawat countries, possible na magkaroon ng cultural exchange. For example, yung pagkakahumaling ng mga ibang Pinoy sa Korean dramas or sa K-pop groups because of globalization. One, of course, with the existence of media, na-adapt na rin natin dito sa Pilipinas. So, global media promotes a restructuring of global cultural and social communities. So, the media, such as the press, the radio, television, they have been very important institutions for the formation of national community, uh, of the national communication. Global media also supports the creation of new communities. So, for example, the internet, it does not only facilitate communication across the globe, but also it supports the formation of new social communities in which members can interact with each other. And then the third, the common point of departure is the assumption that a series of international media constitutes a global cultural supply in itself and serves as an independent agency for cultural and social globalization, in which cultural communities are continuously restructured and redefined. So, in other words, media cultures take part in the process of globalization. So, including how they challenge existing cultures and create new and alternative symbolic and cultural communities. So, Makluhan examines the impact of the electronic media by using his analysis of technology. So McLuhan analyzes that the television broad changes wherein this television can really make a global village. What does it mean? This means that people can create the same perception on what they watch as they sit and see in front of their televisions watching the same programs. So we are here in the Philippines and others living abroad. Kung nanonood tayo ng parehong programs sa television, then we can create the same understanding, the same knowledge, the same perception. Pare-pareho na tayo ng magiging kaisipan, then that is what we call global village. So what is global village? So it is the world. The world is considered as a single community linked by telecommunication. So meaning the entire world is becoming more interconnected as a result of the propagation of media technologies throughout the world. So global media had the ability to homogenize our culture. So other scholars also believe that global media had the ability to homogenize our culture. So they believe that when global media is spread, people from different parts of the world would begin to watch, listen, and read same things. So this has begun when the America's culture began to spread all over the world, and when this is combined with the global media brought about by colonization, the cultural imperialism form where American culture became superior over other cultures of the world. So meron tayo na ngayong tinatawag na cultural imperialism. Meaning, you are imposing and promoting a culture usually of a political powerful nation over a less powerful society. Like for example, yan, we have the Disney. Okay, an expansion of the Disney brand in foreign nations. Disney has now expanded uh, to locations such as Florida, Paris, California, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Tokyo, and other countries. So each countries, they have their own version of Disney which are very similar to United States. Okay, so that ends our topic for today, and thank you for listening.